So, the greatest Ashes moments we've been asked to rank are...
In comes Stokes. Is there? He bowls to him. He drives through the covers. And there you go, Steve Smith in his return Test match, after a year's ban from the game, has scored his 24th Test century. In goes Lyon. Bowls, reverse sweep, fielder, field it over.
No!
He's set off. Oh! Lyons dropped it. Lyons dropped it.
Boland bowls, and that's edge and caught at third slip by Labuschagne. And Boland, he's just not going to stop.
And Flintoff goes roaring in again. He's there, he bowls to Ponting. Oh my word, he's caught behind. Is he there? Yes, he is! He's caught behind. A fabulous over.
What are you chirping now, mate? You're not going to
Harmison from the far end bowls the first ball of the series. Oh my word, it's gone straight to second slip. What a horrible start.
Walks in now on a hat-trick to bowl to Malcolm. Malcolm pushes forward and he's scored a short leg, is he? Or did it come off the pad? Yes, he's out!
Ponting comes forward, plays out the offside, they go for a quick single. Pratt chugs up, hits them. That's probably run out. A marvellous piece of fielding by Gary Pratt.
Here's Broad coming in and bowling to Voges. Oh, he's brilliantly caught! Brilliantly caught! That is an outrageous catch by Ben Stokes.
Here comes Warne bowls, and he's got it. There it is. He's got it. Warne has taken his 700th wicket, and Strauss walks disconsolately away.
Steve Smith scores a century on return from Sandpaper Gate. Nathan Lyon drops the Ashes as Stokes secures an iconic Headingley win. Scott Boland takes 6 for 7 at the MCG. Freddie Flintoff's infamous over at Edgbaston 2005. Jimmy Anderson's perfect response to Mitchell Johnson's sledge. Steve Harmison opens the Ashes with a wide that misses the cut strip. Shane Warne's hat-trick at the MCG in 1994. Substitute Gary Pratt runs out Ricky Ponting. Ben Stokes' flying catch as Stuart Broad runs riot at Trent Bridge. And Shane Warne's 700th Test wicket. Well, we kicked off with Alistair last time. First of all, is there anything on there that's missing?
Aggers, are you going here? You're off your long run.
Well,
backstage.
Steve Waugh's century 2002 should be in there because his career was going up in flames, and so for me, the last ball of the day, bang! It was Australia's captain. That for me was one of the great Ashes moments. So that I think that should be in there.
Ball of the century.
Ball of the century that might get a mention.
Surely it should be in there.
It's not. It's a bit surprising, but yes, that's not in there.
Are we just ranking these moments? Because what about Chris Tremlett taking the wicket in 2011?
Mitchell Johnson's first bowler at Sydney.
Or even win that moment when the team won the Ashes in 2011, first time for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a lot of moments.
Yeah.
Who chose these? These
well,
yours?
No, these definitely aren't mine. They were handed to me.
Stuart
Don't
Broad's
blame
first
me.
bowler at Adelaide.
You love that story.
The longest first bowler in Test history.
Jack Leach's one run.
Yeah, I mean
they overtake
when
quite
does
a
this
lot of
start?
these.
We should probably say 1995 because...
That takes out the ball of the
Takes
century.
out all of the
Like what you're
century.
doing. Like what you're doing.
Okay, let's go, shall we? Aggers, we'll start with you. 10 to 6.
Okay, well, number 10, I have got, I'm afraid, the Jimmy Mitchell Johnson sledging thing, because that, well, okay, it was amusing. It's funny. Dear old Mitch.
It's good clickbait, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you're a bit quiet now, mate. Not getting any wickets. Bang, got him out. So, I mean, yes, it's amusing. But he's at number 10. Warne's Ashes hat-trick. Now, people say, cool, a hat-trick in the Ashes. Yeah, it was. And, of course, I was there. De Freitas, Gough, and then Big Devon at the end.
So surely, if it wasn't Shane Warne, like Siddle's hat-trick, I mean, actually comparing batsmen.
On his birthday.
On his birthday. He got himself. He did get Matt Pryor and Broadie out, so probably quite similar to...
I mean, they're not big scalps, these, that
Darren Gough?
Shane nipped.
Darren Gough's... we haven't even spoken about...
Darren Gough's at Sydney.
Yeah, when they bowled for hours, didn't they?
Our producer's just come in here. He hasn't heard any of our preamble.
That'll be edited out.
Probably just as well. No, but so that's why I have got the hat-trick at... I mean, an Ashes hat-trick is brilliant, but I've got it at 9 because it was the end of the game. England were absolutely frazzled. And yes, it was De Freitas, Gough and Devon Malcolm. Now, the one at number 8, I could have put this higher because we now know rather more detail about Shane's 700th wicket, which was Andrew Strauss, wasn't it? And how he deliberately moved the field and how he'd actually told Glenn McGrath as he turned round, I'm going to move that field there, and what Strauss is going to do is try and knock it away into that gap there, and I'm going to bowl him. And Glenn at mid-off goes, oh yeah, mate. And it happened. Next ball. And so if you watch the replay, Shane runs around a circle waving his finger and goes straight to Glenn McGrath, points at him and said, I told you. Great stuff. And actually Andrew didn't know, because Andrew, I talked to him about it, said, well, I wonder why he put that field up. He just took that man for a mid-wicket for a left-hander against a wrist spin. He's got to be there, isn't he?
Yeah.
From round the wicket, he's got to be there. But he moved him, and the whole thing was a plot, and it came off. So that
It is a
should
great
be,
story,
Should be
isn't it?
higher than 8, really. But then Scott Boland coming in, we've never seen him before. He took 6 for 7 at the MCG. I mean, great story. So that's why I've got him there at number 7. And Steve Smith, again, I mean, it's a wonderful story to come back. So much pressure on him after the sandpaper business, which frankly he should never have been involved in. He should never have allowed to have let that happen. So all of that, frankly, he brought upon himself. But to come back from that and to somehow block it out. And I don't know Steve very well. I mean, I've interviewed him a lot, but he always strikes me as quite sort of nervy, kind of agitated. He's always moving, isn't he? Fidgety. And yet he could mentally, psychologically, could block all that stuff out. He could block out the Holly stand, all the abuse he was getting, and score 100. So that's a pretty tough performance, isn't it?
Well, cricket is his game. It's his life. I mean, you look at players across history and you know that there are players that have, the great ability to be able to enjoy playing the game, but also recognise that there's stuff outside playing the game as well. And he tried to do that in that period. He was out of Test cricket, started playing the guitar and all sorts, but that it's 24/7 for him.
Yeah.
So I think there was an element of relief for him, for his family, the Australians behind him, and actually probably a lot of the English fans as well, who had been booing him all the way to the crease.
Well, he was booed badly, wasn't he? I mean, he really was. When he walked out to bat, I mean, it was very, very hostile. I mean, he blocked it out. I mean, you've got to say fair play. And he served his time. I mean, that's to be said, isn't it? He was out of the game, served his time, comes back and does that. So, however, it's only number 6 for me.
Okay, Alistair?
I don't often agree with Aggers, but I did agree with the clickbait of Jimmy and Mitchell. Number 10, great little moment, but can't be an all-time classic. Scotty Boland 6 for 7. I've gone for number 9. Basically because
You're such a batter, aren't you?
no, was the series still alive at that stage? That like an iconic moment, 6 or 7.
No.
I think the game it'd already been done. Is this COVID? Was it the COVID?
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually count. Broadie's told us it doesn't count, that one. So that's why it has to be slightly lower on my list. Brilliant achievement for Scotty Boland. Obviously 6 or 7 doesn't happen ever really. But in a COVID match it doesn't count. So that's why it's number 9. Warne's hat trick. I'm going again at number 8 for the fact of the game was done. I'm pretty sure. And
was done.
I mean, I'd have a chance for a hat-trick against those 3 as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go that. Unfortunately, for that, there's probably as we spoke a little bit earlier now, Jack is back, the producer's back in the room, bigger hat-tricks and more important hat-tricks in the Ashes since that time, which could be well ahead of that one. I'm saying that with a smile on my face, everyone, by the way, so joking. And then I've actually gone for Harmison's wide at Brisbane at number 7.
Oh, come on. You had to be there.
I was at short leg. He almost, if I was standing at silly point, it'd have hit me.
Of course you were there.
Yeah, I was
And
there.
you've still got number 7.
Do you know why I'm going for a number 7?
Did you say anything after that moment?
No, silly.
Do you remember the crowd?
Yeah, I do. I remember everything. I've had 2 moments at Brisbane. That moment, and then obviously when Straussy got out in the first over,
straight to point.
when he hit Ben Hill for Nelson Gully or point, whoever it was, 3rd ball, and I'm pretty sure there was no one else out there. It was just me, and then the rest, because the umpires go meet together. The Australians are cock a hoop. I'm pretty sure because
That was the first ball. That was all the build-up, all the hype,
It
everything. You
was.
waited all this time for that, and he ran up and bowled that thing.
I know, but then there's still so many other times in that you can influence a game from that one ball. Like, do you know what I mean? After that one ball, it happened. It was a wide. It slipped out of his hand. And I know they lost series 5-0, and it's really easy. But it's really easy then to go, that one ball cost us everything. But I mean,
I think set a tone because Brisbane always.
Well, you then have to think about Rory Burns, Mitch Stark.
Yeah.
yeah, but you say it's us.
Darren
That one set the
Clough,
tone.
Michael
But,
Slater.
but I think we read a little bit too much into it. It's too easy for us as journalists and broadcasters in the media. That one ball thing. Well, actually, then then every first ball or whatever happened in 2010-11, Strauss cutting it there, and then Australia still won the series. Or do you know what I mean? Or Zach Crawley hitting the first ball for 4. That was a big moment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's just one of. Or Joe Root. Actually, Joe Root. If we're talking about moment, Joe Root trying to play the reverse sweep of a thing. I'll talk of another moment. But like, it's one ball, such an isolated. I love it. The fact
so
that
deflating though.
Well, yeah, but then if you don't like, I actually
two commentaries.
I tell you what, have you watched
my commentary? Listen to Jim's commentary on
but
ABC.
have you watched
the difference?
Have you watched the next over, the over after the other 6 balls?
Well, I was commentating on them, presumably, but I forgot.
No,
about
but
them.
I have.
I was still in tears.
I know, but what happened? What there could have been 3 jaffers there, and Langer could have played a miss. I don't know. I was still at short leg. I still can't remember. But I get your point. I just think, I just thought, do you know what? It's one ball. I love Harmy, and the poor bloke. Every time I ever hear anyone talks about Steve Harmson, it's about that one ball.
It is, yeah.
And it must be horrible. Like, you get remembered for that. So that's why it's going down a bit lower. And I've got Steve Smith returning for number 6, just for all the reasons you said. And when you walk out as a batter in those moments, when all the attention is on you, for whatever reason you find yourself in there, it's a really uncomfortable place. Even if you're the biggest peacock in the world, even if you're the guy who wants the centre of attention, I just think it must have been horrible. So then for anyone to then deliver a skill, and that's not just one ball skill, that is however many balls it took him, 200 balls over we'll say 4.5 hours of batting and the concentration like that with the crowd on your back.
And in both innings.
I know. He hasn't written that in there, but I didn't want to tell him. I didn't want to tell him he got under in the next innings as well. But I just think for that as a player, I admire someone who can do that. And that's why he's quite high up on my list.
Can I tell you one more Harmison story?
Please.
Well, after it all...
It might be edited out, but go on.
After it all had a go at Brisbane about it, and said so much, whatever it was. But we did. It was a big story, obviously.
Of course it was.
We moved to Adelaide, and we're in the same hotel as the England players, and I'm on something like the 10th floor, pressed the lift, and it came down from like the 12th floor. Door opened, there was one person standing in it, and it was Steve Harmison. The door closed. And I had to go down 10 floors in the lift with Steve. I don't know what to say to him. He was clearly looking at me thinking, your things you said about me. It was those awful moments.
So nothing was said for 10 floors?
No, he had his bowling boots in his hand. I was tempted to say, off the net, Steve.
There was no...
No. Absolute silence, 10 floors down.
I'm trying to actually get on that game now on the internet and just see.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Whether you can actually see what happened in that first over. I'm not on the right website. I'm sure you probably could, but
we also don't have time on this podcast.
No, good. Just shut me up then. Go
on,
I'm going to go for
yours?
Okay. Purely for Bowlers Union and for the reason of not wanting Steve Harmison to be remembered for this. Because actually, before
so you've
I
done
go,
it in a positive way.
Yeah, I don't.
I see.
Is it 10? Because I don't think it should be a big moment.
That's interesting. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's good.
Have that.
Just out of interest, Alistair, what is that feeling when you're out in the middle, Boxing Day test, 90,000 people, you can't hear yourself?
Yeah.
How are you feeling inside? How's your heart?
I actually don't think the Boxing Day test match is as big as the first one. But I look at anyone who performs on the first day of that series, in particular with a bat, because you only have one chance. Your senses are just so much more heightened for that day. They are. All the build-up, you've been picked on the tour, but this tour, or any tour, whichever, that date of the 16th of November or the 20th of November, it's been in your mind for about 12 months. And everything is building up. Like, you try not to do it in the summer before... think about the Ashes, but it happened even the last summer we've just done this India series. Wow, it's been good preparation for the Ashes. It's all is things. So those players, as much as they say it was about winning against India in that series, it's still there. So everything is more heightened. The crowd are just that buzz is unbelievable. It's one of the things I don't miss, but I do miss because your whole body is alive. It is full of adrenaline. It's full of anxiety. It's full of thing. The one thing after, that's why you say back to Boxing Day, you asked about the Boxing Day test match. Yes, it's good, but you've kind of suddenly realised after day one of Brisbane or wherever the first test match at Edgbaston Lords, you realise it's still just another game of cricket. But that first day is really special and really uncomfortable as well.
I'm just imagining what Steve Harmison would have been thinking at the top of his mark.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a big thing with Hill Finlay bowled that ball, or I faced it a couple of times. it is very. No matter how mentally strong you're meant to be, or mentally aware of what's about to happen. And I think I faced the ball twice. I think first, one in 2013 and one in. I'm in 15. I can't remember 15, but I did Brisbane in 17, 18, and David Warner. I think I got off the mark third ball, and he said, "That's pretty cool, that." And I was like, "It was." It's like, and I remember that.
Oh, he didn't sledge all the time then.
Not all the time. I think it was past that. I was a bit too old to sledge then.
Great insight. Thank you for that. Anyway, Harmison at number 10 for me. I've got Gary Pratt running out Ricky Ponting as number 9.
Oh, that's quite controversial.
Same sort of reason. I just think there were much bigger moments that have happened, although that was a great moment.
It's funny, though. It was very funny. Oh, Ricky.
I mean, that was a
But
great... In 2005, when that happened, everyone was just like...
Yeah, they were.
Little bit,
It was
weren't
because
they?
Ricky's reaction, and he
But I
had
think-
a go at Duncan Fletcher.
Well, I
and
think it was the reaction
all
was
kicked
made,
off.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And also, we're looking at that iconic series. Actually, it was an important run out, wasn't it? As well.
Brilliant piece of
Yeah, it
fielding.
was.
Brilliant
Yeah, they were getting
fielding.
back into the game, weren't they, Australia?
And it's Ponting, the opposition's captain, their best batter, and the fact that they'd already been moaning that basically the bowlers bowled their spell and went off for the
Yes.
3 overs, and basically Gary Pratt was on all the time. But it was, I think it's
Brilliant
quite
pick-up,
a
direct
brilliant
hit,
fielding,
bang,
but
yeah.
also quite a significant moment
Yeah.
in that series as well. So that's what I've got it a bit higher up.
When I think about big moments, I'm thinking about on the more positive side.
But you're putting then the sledging ahead of that. Just an off. Just imagine how many one-off things have been set which haven't been repeated up, which is compared to one arm, a run out hitting one stump of the Australian captain.
That's true.
I think that one's a little bit low.
You're revising that,
Yeah.
Leash.
Maybe I am revising. I've got Jimmy
But, yeah.
against Mitchell Johnson at 8. More so because the Aussies in Australia are so arrogant, aren't they? And
That's a
to
fair
have
point.
to have
Fair point.
Jimmy be able to get one back,
Yeah.
I think that was quite a good moment.
The reason I had that low as well, we lost that game. That was the one we lost.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So that's kind of like
Yeah.
Brody didn't count that. One we forgot about. But yeah, I do like your point about any time you get one up on the arrogant Australians.
Which I guess you could say is number 9 as well. But anyway, I've got Warne's Ashes hat-trick at number 7 because it was his arena. And again, we're talking about the theatre, the emotion, the drama, very special moment. We've gone all the 6s for the last podcast and this one.
Yeah.
Smith returning from Sam.
Did you do what I do on this list? I started with my top 2 and then my bottom 2 and then just fiddled around with the
Yeah.
other lists and then suddenly...
I think that's basically what happened, yeah. But yeah, just the fact that he was booed to the crease, he'd been battered by the media, to be able to stand up and do that. You could feel the tension and almost how much he'd been thinking about it prior to the actual match. He'd been thinking about that for 2 years to get that moment.
It's a really good point, actually.
To get that moment to prove himself once again and almost that redemption moment.
Was that his first game back from the ban as well? Or had he played test matches before that?
It was his first test match back.
Extraordinary. And
Well, I think
he was
that's-
so exposed, wasn't he? When he was in tears on the telly. I mean, the Hollies stand is pretty cruel. And crikey, they did rip into him.
And also, I was going on this just before, saying about that date in your mind, first ever Ashes, that date would have been in his mind as soon as his ban had been announced, and when he would have known that for 2 years, so even bigger build-up.
Yeah. 16 months, March to August 2019.
But he's an unbelievably special player, though, isn't he? So it doesn't actually surprise me that he could do that. But not many people could.
The TMS Podcast from BBC Radio 5 Live.
My name's Steve Bradnell, assistant manager at Royal Oak FC. You may have seen me online going viral. Viral sensation! And now, the BBC have given me the chance to set the footballing world back to rights.
This could be a great opportunity for us, lads, a podcast for the BBC.
Can I just say, what's a podcast?
Brilliant! Great start. Well done, Bob. Brilliant. We can completely show utter transparency to Royal Oak fans. I'll use my charm. Gift it, Gab. Game's gone. The Steve Bracknell Podcast. Watch on YouTube. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Agus, let's go your 5 to 3.
5 to 3. Okay, well, see, I've got Pratt running out Ponting at number 5. Just because it was just I mean, we've been 12th man. We've fielded as 12th man. It's not an easy thing to do. You suddenly walk into a game that's taking place. You're not part of it yourself.
Wait a second, Alistair, have you been 12th man before?
Not very often, but we were saying he was actually on all the time anyway.
Yeah, he was most of the time. But it is not an easy thing to do because you don't feel part of the game. And just that the 12th man should come on. And he was on legitimately because Simon Hughes was off and finished.
Simon Hughes?
Sorry. Simon Jones was off.
Simon Hughes has done well to play on. You've got to keep that in there. That's brilliant.
Simon Jones was off legitimately and never came back on again, didn't he? So he was actually legitimately on the field. So anyway, he's at 5 for me. 4, Trent Bridge again. Brilliant catch by Ben Stokes. I mean, it all happens so fast. I was commentating that one. And it's one of those where I wasn't quite sure who the fielder was because it all happened so quickly. And because it was such a brilliant catch, you had to name the fielder. And it's one of those we just almost buying time with a sentence to try and just waiting to see. I thought it was Stokes, but wasn't quite sure. It happened so quickly, and the ball was it was behind him. It had gone. It was incredible. It was absolutely superb, and Stuart's face and everything else in an incredible spell. And then number 3. Well, this really is, I guess, my favourite moment. Actually, if I'm honest, is Lyon missing that run out. Because he said some pretty ugly things over the years as well at Brisbane before Test. We're going to finish some careers and all that sort of stuff. So I've always been a bit negative about Nathan Lyon. So that he dropped that. But he should have run him out by yards. I mean, it was just the game over, wasn't it? And then there was the unfortunate business of the LBW to follow up afterwards. It was all of that. So I have got Nathan Lyon dropping the ball and failing to run out Jack Leach at number 3.
The best thing about that whole chat was that you were giving a bit of insight into commentary there, Aggers, and just how we basically blag it.
Well, you buy a little bit of time, don't you? So what you do actually, yes, you switch the attention from the fielder to the bowler from home and look at the bowler's face while you're thinking, come on, let's have a look. You're buying 5 seconds, aren't you?
And that's why he's the best, everyone.
Oh, there you go.
Alistair?
I've gone Shane Warne's 700 wicket. I've never heard an atmosphere like it. Very early on in my career, I was already out at that stage. Of course, I was. I was around. I was watching the game, and just never heard a noise like 90,000 people shouting "Warney, Warney." It was incredible. As you keep saying, it was his back garden. It was his Melbourne boy. Just the first time I've ever really seen hero adulation outside of, I suppose, India. But for someone doing something which I didn't think was possible to do, like 700 wickets as a leg spinner in Australia. So I thought that was an incredible moment there. I've gone the Gary Pratt 4 just because he played so many times, and it's great to see Ricky Ponting getting so stressed about it when he's walking off. I just find it makes me smile. It just makes me smile as and the fact that obviously I've played against a couple of times. I've played against Ricky Ponting. He's such a good player, and he's normally scoring runs. He's abrasive. He's great off the field, but on the field he plays cricket as he plays cricket actually probably as you should play cricket. Absolute hard as nails on it. Nicest.
Has he talked about it since? Have you talked about it?
Has anyone dared bring it up with him?
No.
I might do. I would like to have a beer, Ricky. And I've got number 3. I'm checking the list.
I get the feeling he'd be probably a little bit.
Surely he's fine
not
now.
wanting to talk about
you
it.
You think?
Surely now. It's 2005.
Yeah.
20 years.
It's 20 years ago. Surely he's fine.
Still
I'm sure he's done a bit of therapy since.
Okay.
Yeah, possibly.
And then I've gone for the Flintoff over at 3, just for the skill of the bowling. I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. A bloke at the peak of his powers, bowling is one of the best batsmen in the world. Obviously getting Langer out early on, first ball, second ball, whatever it was, no ball, and then the extra ball getting the wickets, and just imagining how loud the Holly Stand would have been. I wasn't there, but just the atmosphere would have been unbelievable as it
was.
Cricket was gripping the nation, and just on a purely skill-based over, there can't be many better overs than that bowled. And if there was, I'd like to see it. I'm sure Jeffrey would have said the over that he faced against Holding was as good, and I'm sure it absolutely was. But that for pure over,
it was quick.
Yeah, absolutely, frighteningly quick, Freddie.
Yeah, steaming in.
So that's my 5-3.
Okay, I've gone with the Stokes catch and Broad 8 for 15 at 5. just, again, theatre, the moment. When you're up against Australia, you want to continue, and he massively got on a roll, Stuart Broad. How often do you manage to do that against Australia? Usually you're thinking there's a partnership coming, and it just never came. And then that ridiculous piece of fielding from Ben Stokes. And then the kind of half surprise celebration from Stuart Broad, and I remember that going viral around the grounds that summer. So
like you'd seen a ghost, wasn't it?
For that moment, I think that was pretty special. I've got Shane Warne, 700 Test wickets, number 4. Again, pure theatre, MCG, his backyard, showman in action. So I did have this at number 2. But I've actually gone with Scott Boland a bit higher up than you guys. Just purely because...
Were you there?
I was there.
Yeah.
And I still have Mark Howard commentary ringing in my ears. Build that man a statue.
Is that what you said?
6 at the G.
6 at the G. Build the man a statue. 6 for 7. And it was just absolute carnage. But also because he was the kind of unlikely hero.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
But the adulation he got when he went down to Bay 13 was just so heartwarming, and I think was a real moment in time for Ashes cricket.
And also, I suppose, unexpected hero as well, isn't he? That which adds to the story in terms of he's always been behind, the great trio of bowlers of Hazlewood, Cummins and Stark. Yeah. So then to get a chance and then to blow them out of the water.
And he bowled beautifully too.
Yeah.
He really did.
I mean, it was unplayable by the looks of, when I was watching it.
He just kept coming in.
Maybe as an iconic moment, that could have been higher.
Yeah, it was. I mean, certainly in recent times, it's one of the best moments. Also for the fact that, second Aboriginal man on record to represent Australia at Test level, and he wins the Johnny Muller Medal, who was the player of the series on the Aboriginal tour back in England in the 1800s. So I think, for all those reasons, it all coming together for him, I think that was just a really special moment in Ashes cricket.
Agreed.
2 and 1. So, Agus, to you.
Oh, well, you see, this is where we're very different here, because I'm afraid I've got Harmy at number 2. We've talked about it, but just the impact of that ball. Jim's reaction on ABC, my reaction on BBC was just, it just said everything. Jim kind of just laughing, and look at this, it's a shambles. And me, oh my God, what's he done? He's got that sort of reaction. It just looked as if England were really nervous and kind of intimidated, and it's quite a hostile place, the Gabba. It just gave the impression that Harmy was really,
He might have been.
Yeah, I think he probably was. Anyway,
which is quite understandable as well, isn't it? Like,
but
or did the ball just slip?
But it went to Flint. Well, it went at quite a reasonable pace.
No, I've watched it. I mean, Agus, you would know, like when you feel like you haven't got control of your body,
it's horrible. Yeah.
And you're bowling, and you're in the arena.
He sort of pushed it. It was.
That tells me he was full of anxiety.
Yeah, it was a really nervous ball,
I can't watch it because I'm like, oh.
Anyway,
I need to go and watch the next balls. Well, I do as in just out of interest.
You can go and watch it this evening. Good luck. So I've got him there at number 2 because it just and England's record, the first ball that they bowled at Brisbane, just down the years, or first balls happened at Brisbane, has just been so bad, and that was just in that catalogue. And then number 1, it's that Flintoff over, because again, it definitely helps when you're there, and particularly when it actually helps when you're commentating too. And I was for that over, and that commentary box at Edgbaston, you were right in the game. It was a different one to what we have now, and you were lower. And you were kind of in it. I mean, it was just hard to explain, but you were like almost over the boundary edge, so you could almost reach out and touch Flintoff, as he was turning from our end and running in. And it was a fantastic over. And at Ponting again, key man, and that match was so important. After losing the first game, all of that, there's all that stuff kicking off. There was Ponting having put England in. There was his row with Warne. There was McGrath on his tennis ball. All of that stuff. And this over, which is just a brutal over. Wonderful fast bowling, and one of the finest players in the world, hopping around all over the place, frankly.
Cookie?
So I've misread it as well. I had to put my hands up and misread the thing, because I actually thought it said Broadie's spell. rather than just Stokes' catch.
You've got to read the question,
I know,
Cookie.
but actually,
You're rubbish at exams.
I'm actually sure. Well, I was, but I still think.
I thought it was that too, to be honest.
So I actually do think it does say. So I actually had that as my number one because 8 for 15. So I'm actually going to now change the rules. The 8 for 15, I just wasn't. Well, I mean, we're 2-1 in the Ashes from the series. A little bit setting the scene. Mark Butcher said you're going to watch this series behind the sofa because England have got no chance. Yeah. And we were 2-1 up after a great game at Edgbaston. Win the toss, bowl, and within
Jimmy
is injured. Yeah, within an hour and a half, we had won the Ashes. And as a captain who'd lost it 5-0 and all the fallout from there, to have pretty much done it by quarter to one.
I was thinking about that.
Quarter to one.
That summer, it felt like it was almost predetermined that you were going to win.
Well, we went 1-0 up at Cardiff, where no one expected us to. Then we got hammered at Lords. Everyone's very calm, and then we just had 2 great games. I had a fortnight of bowling them out cheaply both times, ball nipped around a bit, and but I mean, I did not that I slept well after that day at all because I thought I don't want to be the captain who concede bowled outside for 60, and I think we were 240 for 4 and really got a brilliant 100, but. We know we're going to win the game, but again, as there. So that, for me, has to be my number one, the fact that the emotional attachment I had of that and the 5-0 before. And I had the spell rather than the catch. Catch, unbelievable part of the spell. So, sorry, Jack, I've changed the rules. And I've gone Lion, dropping the Ashes, as we call it. What a moment. I want to say it was my first Test match I was commentating on. I might have commentated on some one day.
It was.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I remember it was your early days.
It was it was very early on, and I could see it building up. And not that I'm an experienced broadcaster at all, but Aggers did say to me, just think about what you might say when it got a bit close, and just allow it space. I don't know when he said it, but he definitely said that to me. I tried to get out of that stint because I was so nervous about messing up my words. I do anyway. So I offered Vorney to do it because you get time slots. You get 20 minute slots or half an hour, and I knew it was going to have to finish. I was like, "No, Vorney, you do it," because I didn't want to mess it up. So I had the run out where all my literary brilliance came in, where I just shouted, no, 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 as I could see what was happening before he dropped the ball. I shouted, no, no, no. So that's not adding much to the listeners saying the same word 3 times.
No, I remember listening to that going, that's brilliant.
Well, I mean, I was, and also I was just out the side. I was so emotionally attached to the side. I genuinely was emotionally attached. Like now it's 7-8 years, still good friends with the players, but nowhere near as emotional about the England cricket team, just as relationships. So that was one. And then when the moment happened...
All right, Glenn, though, by the way. Glenn McGrath.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No, the best thing about that was when obviously the LBW was given out off air, he put through his thing, I turned his microphone off and goes, and that's why you don't waste reviews or something like that.
Fuming.
And then said it again on air, but he was so cross. That was actually the day I was a taxi driver, that Test match. I was taxi driver for Jim Maxwell and Glenn McGrath. I mean, driving along thinking, this is surreal. And then at the moment when Stokesy cut it, Aggers was on air. I was there. I was like, "What? What am I going to say?" And then lucked out with the phase of saying it was the greatest innings I've ever seen, and then just stopped. Normally, I'll waffle on like I've waffled on here. So that holds such a big memory for me in terms of the next start of the career. And also Nathan Lyon dropping the easiest thing. How it always brings a smile to my face. It could easily probably be my number one compared to Stokesy's catch. But as I read it as Broady's spell, I've gone that way around.
And of course, Adam Mountford in the background there.
Yeah.
That's, an iconic moment.
Well, because he couldn't see. So Adam, just to explain, the producer was sitting well behind, and he was heading a very high seats, so he actually couldn't see the play. So he's listening, so he's hearing you shouting. He goes, "Oh my God!" In his face, it was all because of he couldn't see what was going on. So his hands are going everywhere in his mouth. Anyway,
it was an incredible place to be. I mean, when you think about some of the most incredible moments in cricket, I think about 2019. Being in the Lord's Media Centre there, and Aggers. I guess for me, 2019 was at a time where there weren't as many female commentators, so we had to get shared around a bit more. So I was working for BBC and Sky for the Ashes. So I was splitting between the Sky box and the BBC box. And I remember coming into the BBC box and everyone's just like high on edge, on the edge of their seat, and just really kind of anxious everywhere you looked. And then I went into the skybox, similar thing. It was just one of those unbelievable moments.
What was sad about that was 2019 with the World Cup and that Test match. English cricket was just kind of on the launch pad, it felt. It was like a rocket, and the steam was coming out, the engines were firing up. And then COVID came, and it sort of fell off a bit of a cliff.
Yeah.
That just felt to me, because of what had happened to English cricket that summer, it could have been the moment when it really took off, and it was a real shame that COVID came along immediately and just kind of killed it.
Yeah, incredible summer. I have got mine. So I went with the Flintoff. He was originally at number 1 for me, but then I've kind of merged everything for number 1. So Freddie Flintoff, 2005, unbelievable over of skill, accuracy, precision, being able to do it against Ricky. I remember watching it live, and as I mentioned before, we had our women's Ashes on at the same time, and from a pure inspiration point of view, for me as a bowler, as someone who tried to swing the ball, it was honestly one of the greatest overs I've ever seen in cricket, from an inspiration point of view. And I just watched that over going, oh my God, I want to do that. And so every time I would be at the top of my mark during that series, I'd be thinking about that over from that point on, just about, the way he was able to set him up, the different kind of movement that was on offer for every delivery. Every delivery was clearly executed. He knew exactly what he wanted to do every single ball, and he was able to do it. And I just think for that reason, Freddie is at number 2, that specific over. And to be able to do it against Ricky as well, who is arguably one of the greatest ever, I thought was really, really special. And then
Flintoff on the bus, I mean, does that get mentioned as well here?
Well, we were on the bus.
I know you were.
No, well, we were on the bus.
Behind,
yeah.
The crowds.
We weren't the wags as everyone else thought we were. We were on the bus behind, and it was one of the most unbelievable, how old would I have been? I think I was just 20 at the time. And so us youngsters were just completely...
It was awesome. Because the players thought no one was going to turn up. That'd be in there for me as an Ashes moment.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty special. And we'd done a kind of lap of honour the last day of the Oval Test, and so we'd had a few days of enjoying ourselves prior to that. But I do remember being on the bus on the way from there to Downing Street to Lords. And that's when Harmy drew on Freddie's face. And I remember walking past him going, oh my God, it's Freddie Flintoff.
I don't think Freddie knew what day it was by then, but there we go.
Yeah, well, we sort of cottoned onto that when we arrived at the hotel, and he was hobbling about. Anyway, that was a special moment.
It was.
But my number 1 has to be that I've actually encapsulated the whole day, because I think you can't describe that moment without talking about the excellence and the miracle of Ben Stokes. And, at the start of the day, I think a lot of people had hope for England, but as the wickets started falling, they needed 73. 1 wicket. I was on commentary, and I did what you did, Alistair. I stepped aside. I let Shane Warne come in, or Ricky Ponting, because I was like, you're about to take the Ashes here. And then it just continued.
Yeah.
And just one of the most...
innings.
Yeah, just, I mean, of all the innings of all time, it has to be up there in terms of one of those innings that it just doesn't happen. It was just so unbelievable.
I interviewed him the other day in a different capacity. And so I said to him, come on then, you've got all the fielders on the boundary edge, which they were, 9 on the boundary edge. You've got to have to hit 6s, because you can't get 1s, you can't get Leach on strike, you've got to hit it over them. How were you able to actually do that? What was going through your mind that you've got all these fielders out there and yet you're still hitting 6s? And he looked at me like I'd gone a bit simple. And he said, well, because I had it over them, didn't I? So the fact they were there didn't matter. I thought, wow, that's how clear he's thinking. I had to hit it over them.
And also, if you go back to actually the first 40 balls, he said he had to go. For England to win that game, he had to be not out overnight.
I think it's 1 or 2 or 40 balls.
Yeah, he was. It was 2 off 73.
Yeah, so the actual innings, like the reason I had it, because the greatest things I've seen was the fact that it had everything in it. You know, it had the lot, and also getting over running out Joss Buttler as well, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
got over that. Just extraordinary. I just with the 70 odd there, we were in the back. We were in the back of the box discussing where do England go from here. We were discussing, like, because we were going to do the podcast after.
The lunch feature was English cricket's finished. Where do we go from here?
And also we were discussing what we were going to say at the end of the game, where does the series go? And then as it got close, you kind of think, I hit a few, got to 50, 40, and then the worst thing, you start believing, don't you? And you start believing at 30.
Well, that's what happened when the Nathan Lyon incident happened.
Yeah, extraordinary, and what a not a bad way to getting introduced into punditry that was.